In today's world, every word you say either pulls someone closer or pushes them away. If you're not standing out, you're blending in. And in the eyes of a woman, that means you're forgotten. Every conversation is a test, and most men fail before they even open their mouths. Not because they're rude, but because they're predictable, safe, and forgettable. They try to be polite, ask good questions, say nice things, and then wonder why she doesn't remember them 5 minutes later. But here's the truth. Modern women aren't moved by polite talk. They're moved by presence, by tension, by the feeling that a man can see through them and knows exactly how to lead, not just the conversation, but her. Now pay close attention. Machiavelli never wrote a book about seduction, yet he's still one of the best teachers for any man who wants to master it. Why? Because he understood people better than anyone. He knew that humans follow those who create emotional weight, people who pull others in like gravity. And in today's world, where women are always getting compliments, messages, likes, and attention, only the man who speaks with depth and strategy makes her pause, feel something, and emotionally give in. This video gives you 7 communication shifts that every powerful man must learn. Not to impress her, not to entertain her, but to lead her, to create tension, to shake up her normal thinking, and slowly rewire her brain so she craves more of you, your presence, your voice, your attention, and eventually, your touch. This isn't about pickup lines. This is about verbal control. Subtle, precise, unforgettable. Let's begin. Here's the first shift, and it's the one that instantly makes her lean in instead of zoning out. You don't speak like you're finishing a sentence. You speak like you're planting questions in her mind. Most men talk in straight lines. They ask a question, wait for an answer, make a point, then move to the next topic. They talk just to finish thoughts, not to create anything. But a magnetic man, he speaks in curves, he hints, he suggests, he pauses, he leaves space, he lets tension build. He doesn't rush to fill the silence. Because when you talk like a mystery, not like a message, she starts leaning closer. She feels something happening inside. First confusion, then curiosity, then excitement. And that's powerful. Why? Because modern women are overwhelmed with words. Texts, notifications, podcasts, videos, voices, but what they crave is space. Silence between the words, meaning in the unspoken. That's what makes their mind spin. That's what builds desire. Machiavelli would say, power belongs to the man whose meaning needs to be discovered, not explained. So instead of talking too much, slow down. Say half of what you mean, but say it with full presence. Don't rush to make your point. Let her wonder what the point is. Because when a woman feels like she has to figure you out, you become a puzzle she wants to solve. And once her mind is hooked on the mystery, her body follows. Now here's your next move. Speak less. Weigh your words. Let each one feel intentional. When she asks you something, respond with curiosity, not with full answers. When she opens up, reflect a little, but don't show all your cards. Keep just enough space between what you say and what you mean. Soon, she'll be the one trying to close that gap. Here's the second shift. This is what turns you from interesting guy at the bar into the thought she can't get out of her head the next day. You don't just impress her in the moment, you leave something behind. Most men try to be funny, charming, or agreeable during conversation, but the Machiavellian communicator, he's playing the long game. He doesn't just want her attention, he wants a place in her mind. And that happens when you drop emotional anchors, short, strange, vivid thoughts that echo even after you're gone. Let me explain. If you say something basic, she forgets. If you say something too extreme, she pulls away. The strongest influence isn't loud. It's quiet. It lingers. It grows in her mind long after you've walked away. If you master that, she won't forget you. If you say something that shifts her perspective, even just a little, it starts to grow inside her. Like what? You challenge how she sees the world. You flip a belief she holds. You describe something about her that even she hasn't noticed yet. You don't argue, you don't preach, you just drop a seed and leave. Later that night, when she's brushing her teeth or lying in bed, something sparks. A memory, a line, a pause, something you said. That's how obsession begins. That's what makes her reach out. Machiavelli would have whispered, "Real influence isn't seen when you're speaking. It shows up in the silence afterward." So what should you do? Stop trying to be memorable. Say less. But say what others won't. Interrupt her thinking just enough to wake her up. Say something unusual. Then pause. Let the silence fill the space. Because once a woman starts completing the blanks with her own imagination, you've already won. Now here's the third shift. It's subtle but powerful. It separates a man who leads from a boy who needs approval. A magnetic man doesn't try to control the room by force. He does it through presence. He doesn't fight for the frame. He rewrites it. And he does it without raising his voice. Especially today, when you talk to strong, smart, modern women, you will be tested. She might tease you, disagree with you, challenge your beliefs, laugh at your seriousness, mock your intensity. And most men? They either defend themselves or back down just to keep the peace. But a Machiavellian communicator, he does neither. He doesn't explain himself, he doesn't argue, he doesn't even acknowledge the frame she tries to impose. He stays calm, still, focused. And then he redirects, he lets her finish, then with zero emotion, he steers the conversation back to where he wants it to go. This is called frame control by redirection. You don't resist, you don't react. True power isn't loud. It doesn't beg to be seen. It shifts the energy in silence, leaves her wondering, and makes her want more, without knowing why. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to deny anything. You replace the frame completely. Example, she says, "That's kind of arrogant of you." Most men would argue or apologize. You smile and say, "Maybe." But tell me, what do you usually do when someone doesn't give you the answer you expect? Just like that, the power shifts back. But this time, her frame is exposed. And now she's off balance. Not because you overpowered her, but because you were elegant. Machiavelli would have said, "Don't meet opposition with noise. Meet it with redefinition." Here's what to remember. Expect her to test you. Expect her to challenge you. Welcome it. But never meet fire with fire. Meet it with ice. Stay calm. Keep your body relaxed. Keep your eyes focused. Let her feel that nothing she says can shake you, because you're deeply grounded in who you are. That's what builds respect. That's what turns tension into trust. That's what makes her open up in ways she never thought she would. Here's the fourth shift, and this one makes her forget the world around her. You stop explaining. And you start building movies in her mind. Most women today are used to men talking about themselves, their job, their goals, their past, their opinions. But very few men ever transport her to another world. That's your edge. You don't inform, you immerse. You don't tell stories to impress her. You tell them to awaken something inside her. Because when a man tells a good story, two things happen. Her mirror neurons fire. She feels what you felt. And second, she lets her guard down because it's not directly about her, it's about your world. And if you do it right, you don't even need to talk about love or relationships. Talk about travel, pain, growth, failure. A small moment that changed everything. The key is show, don't tell. Don't say, "I learned to trust myself after my divorce." Instead, say, "I remember standing outside that apartment in the middle of winter. No furniture, just a mattress. And I realized I can rebuild everything." Feel the difference? One explains, the other immerses. Machiavelli would say, "Control the imagination and you control the heart." Here's your next move. Build a vault of 3-5 personal stories. Make them short, clear, emotional, but not too polished. Tell them slowly. Let each word carry weight. Look her in the eye. And watch her body language change. She'll cross her legs, her breathing will slow, her eyes will soften. Because in that moment, you're not just a man she's listening to. You're a man she's inside of, mentally. And that makes her want to be close, physically. Now for the fifth shift. This flips everything. You speak less, so she ends up chasing the silence. Modern women are used to men who try too hard. They overshare, over-explain, oversell. Why? Because they think talking more equals more value. But the mature man knows better. He knows mystery creates momentum, He knows that what he doesn't say is more powerful than what he does. So instead of flooding her with stories or opinions, he does the opposite. He drops one line. He pauses mid-thought. He gives half an answer. He starts something and doesn't finish it. Not because he's unsure, but because he's in no rush to be understood. And that creates a vacuum, a pull, a curiosity that she starts trying to resolve. She asks more questions. She leans in. She tries to keep the conversation alive. She tries to decode him. That's not manipulation, that's magnetism. Machiavelli would have said, "He who reveals himself fully gives away his power. Let her hunger for the rest." Here's your move. Start treating silence like a skill, because it is. When she asks something, answer briefly, then pause. When you tell a story, let the moment hang after a powerful detail. When you look at her, don't always break eye contact first. These small moments, they create pressure. And women feel that pressure in their bodies. Their breath changes, their thoughts shift. They're no longer just hearing you, they're feeling you. That's what makes her remember you. That's what makes her want more, even when you've said almost nothing. Now, here's the sixth shift, and it's one most men are too afraid to try. You subtly let her feel that you're the prize. This doesn't mean you disrespect her. It doesn't mean you ignore her beauty, success, or strength. It means you don't give your attention away easily. Most men validate too fast. They'll tell her she's beautiful before they even know who she is. She's had attention, she's had compliments, but the one thing she rarely experiences, a man who sees her differently and makes her see herself differently too. You're amazing. That's what most men say, without watching how she handles pressure, how she behaves under stress. They reward her looks, but not her character. The mature man? He watches. He waits. He doesn't judge quickly, not as a tactic, as a standard. And this makes her wonder, am I impressing him? Does he like me, or is he just being polite? What does it take to actually earn his respect? And in that moment, the energy shifts. Now she's the one trying harder. She's telling her best stories. She's trying to be funny. She's opening up. Why? Because she feels something rare. She's being evaluated. And that's what makes her invest. That's what makes your compliments feel valuable. That's what makes her crave you, because nothing was handed to her. Machiavelli would have said, "The privilege that's hard to earn is the one most deeply desired." So here's your move. Hold your compliments. Hold your judgments. Hold your opinions. Until she shows you why she deserves them. Not because you're playing cold, but because you respect yourself too much to give attention like candy. When she sees that, she leans in. She softens. She opens. Not because she's impressed, but because she's invested. Now let's close with the seventh and final shift, the one that makes you echo in her mind long after the words are gone. This goes beyond flirting, seduction, or attraction. This is what makes you a man who elevates her mind. You don't do it by lecturing, or by acting superior, or by telling her what to do. You do it by the way you observe her, the way you ask questions no one else asks, because no one else sees her the way you do. You challenge her ideas, but with calm, not conflict. You hear contradictions in her story, but bring them up with curiosity, not criticism. You share a part of your life that mirrors hers, and suddenly her problem feels smaller, lighter, solvable. And in that moment, you stop being the guy she's attracted to and become the man she wants to grow with. That's what most young women can't find, but deeply crave. Not a guy who tells her she's sexy, she already knows that. Not a guy who tries to impress her. That's predictable. She wants a man whose mind makes her think, whose silence makes her question herself, whose confidence makes her realize how much more there is to feel, learn, and explore. And when she leaves your presence with more clarity, when your questions echo in her head the next morning, that's when real desire takes root. Not because you tried to be unforgettable, but because your thought process reshaped hers. Machiavelli would have said, "He who sharpens her thoughts sharpens her hunger." Here's how to apply it. Listen more than you speak. And when you speak, say what no one else dares. Don't tell her what to believe. Ask her why she believes it. Don't try to fix her. Reflect her more clearly than any mirror ever could. Because when you become the man who makes her think deeply about herself, you become unforgettable. That's what makes her come back. That's what makes her text you again. That's what makes her drop all the games, because she knows. No one else makes her feel this seen. And remember, the body always follows the mind. Everything we've said leads to this final truth. You've now stepped into a version of yourself that no longer chases, because he doesn't need to. You've left behind the habits of men who overtalk, overprove, and overgive. Instead, you've become the kind of man every woman craves but rarely meets. A man with gravity. A man who doesn't fill space, he shapes it. Now you speak less and people listen more. You move slower and hearts beat faster. You don't ask to be chosen. You are the standard by which others are measured. This isn't game, this is power, rooted in presence, shaped by experience, and made magnetic through restraint. And once a woman feels that, she doesn't want options, she wants you. Not for what you say, but for what you are. Stable, clear, decisive. A man who doesn't need to raise his voice to change a room. So live this identity, protect it. Let it show in your words, your walk, your choices. Because from this moment forward, you're not just the man she's interested in. You're the one she hopes will choose her, and fears she may not deserve. If this opened your eyes and you're ready to step fully into this version of yourself, my book is now available, The Undeniable Man Built to be Chosen. It's a full strategy guide for men who want to lead, attract, and dominate in love and beyond. Whether you're single or in a relationship, this isn't fluff or tricks. It's deep, actionable wisdom you'll actually use every day. The link is in the description. And if this video spoke to you, don't just keep the ideas in your head. Write a comment, even a short one. It helps you remember, and it might help another man too. Hit the like button if this helped you, and share it with someone who needs it, because we're all trying to grow stronger inside. So let's build minds that don't break.